and start recording. Yep, I think we're good. All righty. Now I need to share my screen and we should be good to go. All right. So as I said, my name is Mahmoud. I work at Sprout Digital. We do all things digital. Some of you have seen one of my presentations last year. I had talked about, what did I talk about? Yeah, I talked about Google and Facebook and how these two are like the go-to search engines. If there was a business or a nonprofit that wanted to be visible, they needed to be in two places. They needed to be on Google and on Facebook, not just visible, obviously. You want to be visible and you want to be optimized, meaning all the information is dialed in, nothing's missing. And we had also talked about some examples of businesses that were not doing too hot online. No phone number, no like a broken link or whatever. So that's what we talked about last time. This time you guys had an interest in websites and social media marketing, and also, recruiting and hiring online. So what I thought was I was going to talk a little bit about websites today, and then maybe we can figure out a way to talk about social media marketing and recruiting in like different sessions. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today, just websites. The first question that comes to mind is why? Can someone tell me why would anyone get a website today? Any idea that comes to mind? Let's see.
It's the primary mechanism folks use to find out about your business.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's the primary mechanism for people to find you online. Yes, because people now are looking online. We are more looking online than we are looking in anywhere else. Who in this meeting have their phone number, their phones within arm's reach of them on a like 24/7? Yeah, we got a few hands. It can be a problem sometimes. So anything that we need today, we're constantly reaching out for our phones, and we're looking for our phones. So if you were to do your organization a service, it would be having a nice presence on Google, on Facebook, and also something official, something that would look like a website. So just some stats here. 75% of people have judged a company's credibility based on its website design. Have you guys done that? Anyone done that before? You look at a website, you're like, yeah, that's not for me. I'm out. Yeah, you click out. And then 97% of consumers go online to find and research local businesses. Obviously, you guys do that. You guys look for reviews too, right? You guys check out the reviews before you buy anything on Amazon or so. People are doing research today, and when they're finding us, whether we are a company, for-profit or non-profit, they need to see something that they like, and not just that, they need to see something within the first 5 to 7 seconds. That's how crucial it is. We are so, I can use the word greedy. We're so greedy with our time today that if we don't like what we see within the first 5 seconds, we scroll or we click out. Because we're used to it now. We're used to that scrolling. When you're on your Facebook or any social media platform, or even Google itself, we're constantly scrolling. There's no tolerance. So now that we know that, yes, we need a website and we know why, now how do we go about having a nice presence and a nice website? These are the main criteria that you wanna keep in mind. Whether you're for-profit, non-profit, whatever brick and mortar that you want to create online, you want to keep in mind these elements. Obviously, it needs to navigate well, because people don't have a lot of tolerance today. They tend to click out. It needs to have a nice layout. It needs to have a nice layout where everything's visible. Okay. Responsive design. Does anyone know what responsive design is? Anyone? What would that be? Responsive design is you want to have your website looking good on desktop, but also it needs to look good on your mobile and tablet. An example would be here. So it looks like this on desktop, but then when you go to mobile, some websites turn into this and some websites turn into this. You want your website to turn into this. You don't want anyone to pinch and squeeze and zoom in and all that stuff. That's what affects the click-through rate. That's what urges people to click out. You want good content. Usually when we think about content, we think people need to read good content on our website. And that's true. You need to have something that's going to be eye-catching, people can react to it, and a nice heartfelt story, whether you're a business or an organization, something that will attract people. But you're also writing for the search engines, because these search engines crawl your website too. They read your website more than actual people. Facebook reads website. Google reads websites. Apple Maps reads websites. All of these platforms, they read your website and they determine how relevant your website is to what you do. If you're a butcher in Greenville, does your website mention fillets and chicken and sausage, whatever? And does your website mention Greenville? Does your website mention Dark County? I don't know, Ansonia, et cetera, et cetera. So the content is always key, and it needs to be very relevant. Calls to action, obviously, you need to give those visitors that come to your website something to do. They can't just browse and click out. You have to give them different ways to contact you. A click to call, for example, would be nice. A form to fill, maybe a messenger button where they click and they start messaging you. Something to do. People are different, obviously. Some people like to call immediately, get on the phone. Some people don't do too well with the phone. They just want to leave you an email. Maybe you want to leave them a click to email on your website where they click and they start emailing. Some people just want to fill out a form. You give them that. So whatever the browser is like, you want to cater to them. You want to give them multiple opportunities. Obviously, you want to have testimonials on your website. You want to rave about your brand. Anyone that says anything nice about your brand or your organization, you want to show it off, because that's social proof. That's what's going to keep bringing more people like that happy testimonial. Obviously, you want a story. You want some FAQs in there. We talked about this because the search engines read your website. So the more answers you provide, the more points you get from these search engines. And of course, your contact information. So yeah, we talked about mobile. That's number one. Very, very important today, because Google is super biased about this. If you and your competition have similar websites, but yours is mobile and the competition's is not, you get a point. You get ahead. Google will favor you over the person that does not have a mobile-friendly website. Better navigation. This depends on what this organization is. Is it a mortgage company? Is it a bank? Is it a retirement home? What is it exactly? We need to find better navigation that's suited for that for that specific organization. Not a website is not like a one size fits all, or like a template that we can just stamp on every organization. Each organization needs to have their own flow. Content, pictures, clicks to call, all of that needs to be very, very, we need to think about it before we start building the website. It's very important. And of course, those calls to action. We talked about calls to action, whether you are on desktop. So on the right side here, you can look at desktop, and the left side is mobile. Can you tell me how many calls to action you can see on desktop on this on the right side? Can you count how many calls to action we have? You can just shout it out.
4 or 5.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about right. We have one right here. This is a click to call. And then we have 2, 3, 4, and then Messenger right here, 5. So right now I just covered all my bases. If you're on Facebook, you're gonna like Messenger. If you're a phone person, you're gonna go and click here and it's gonna start dialing right away. Same thing for a contact form. So we're giving different ways for people to reach out to us. Same thing with mobile. We have a contact form, we have a tap to call. So yeah, increasing calls to action increases the conversion of these websites. And of course, content, because we talked about earlier that we're not just writing and creating content for people to see, we're also creating it for these search engines, because Google, for example, has these Google bots. They're called crawlers. And that's all they do. 24/7, they're just scanning websites and giving points. In each market, Google will take 2 competitors and scan both their websites to see which one is more relevant. Which one am I going to serve up? Like it will take 2 carpenters from Greenville, crawl both their sites and give points accordingly. And then that'll favor either this one or this one, obviously. So that's content. And of course, content, I'm not just talking about text, I'm talking about pictures, video. It can be a whole sort of thing. And that's it for websites. Any specific questions that you guys have about what I just covered?
Are you seeing companies do anything different with their websites in light of the pandemic, or has everything pretty much been the same?
That's a great question. Obviously, you want to have right now on your website front and center everything that is COVID related, like maybe new regulation, new rules that we need to abide by. Those need to be front and center, obviously. And then right now, to answer your question in a different way, we're noticing that our clients want to, like, if a client has a website that's not e-commerce, now they want it e-commerce. We have an example of a coffee shop. They didn't have any ordering online, and as soon as this thing hits, they wanted the feature on their website so people can order coffee and just come and pick it up curbside. So there is a tendency for businesses now to take their websites to the next level. Some of them don't have any presence, so they want a website. Some of them already have an existing website, but now they want to make it more, they want to make the website do more ordering, more like different features.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anything else? Any other questions, guys? I know we had some questions about social media. I just didn't want to mix everything into one presentation, but I'm happy to come back and talk about social media marketing later. But anything so far about web design, guys?
You talked about the crawlers that are constantly scanning your website. How important is dynamic content for a website to show up in SEO as opposed to having just something static?
When you say dynamic content, what do you mean? Like multiple forms of content?
Either new content that's continually being added to your site, or content that is linking to other sites or other influencers.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a little bit advanced, but thanks for bringing it up. Yes, websites with blog sections, they do really well because they're constantly adding content to their site. So they're giving Google a reason to come back and crawl the site multiple times. Imagine if you have a site that doesn't have a blog section, and then another site very similar, that has a blog drop on the site every 2 weeks or every month. That site is definitely going to win in the long run because it's constantly being updated according to Google. Whether you add a YouTube video to your site or just a paragraph a month can put you in a completely different situation in 6-9 months, a year from now, because Google is constantly going to keep coming and crawling the site over and over. Great question. The same thing for outside. You mentioned outside SEO, search engine optimization. If you are part of an organization, make sure they mention your website. Make sure they link to your website, because that powers your website. Let's say, for example, a chamber of commerce. A chamber of commerce website is usually a big, hefty website, a robust website, and Google really respects a chamber of commerce website. So when Google sees that a chamber of commerce website is linking to your website, it automatically deducts that, okay, this is kind of a vote. The chamber of commerce website is giving your website a vote, and it's juicing it up. So Google is obviously going to give you more points for that. And vice versa. If it's a spammy website that links to your website, it does the opposite. So you don't want any spammy websites pointing to your site. You only want quality websites mentioning it. Did that answer your question?
It did, thank you.
Perfect. More questions, guys? Well, obviously, if there are any questions, I'm happy to receive them. Like if you guys want to email them to me or whatever, I can answer them however you want. You can text me, you can call me, you can email me. I know not every question is going to come up during the presentation, but I'm sure more questions will come up later. Again, my name is Mahmoud, and I work with Sprout Digital. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with, guys. And thank you so much for having me. I actually feel really privileged to be the first speaker. So thank you for that, guys. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for hopping on and joining us. Seeing that we're spending so much time on our computers and our laptops and our cell phones, definitely relevant to our situations right now. And hopefully we'll be able to get you back. I think I chose social media as the, I know. So hopefully we'll be able to plug you back in and, do a little bit more of that. So,
Wonderful.
All right. I know we have a couple minutes left. Was